ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। शारदा शारदाम्भोज वदना वदनाम्बुजे सर्वदा सर्वदास्माकं सन्निधिं सन्निधिं क्रियात्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। सदात्मध्याननिरतं विषयेभ्यः पराङ्मुखं नौमि शास्त्रेषु निष्णातं चन्द्रशेखरभारतीम्। Om. On this auspicious occasion of Jagadguru Srimad Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamigal's Jayanti, it gives me great pleasure to take up the commentary of Acharya to Adi Shankara Bhagavatpada's Viveka Chodamani. Until now, we had looked at the commentary to the first 20 verses to the Viveka Chodamani by the Jagadguru. Today, we will look at the 21st verse. Jagadguru Mahaswamigal introduces the 21st verse as follows. Reading on page number 16. After the commentary to the 20th verse, we look at the introduction to the next verse. Vivekam nirupya vairagyam nirupayati tad vairagyam iti. After having talked about what is the nature of the Nityanitya Vastu Viveka, and the Jagadguru Mahaswamigal had talked about why instead of saying Brahmam Nityam, Jagat Anityam, Adi Shankara Bhagavatpada in this verse had said Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. And the context of this was in understanding what is this Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka, that we have defined Viveka as the ability to differentiate between Nitya and Anitya. And what Acharya says here is that the word Nitya really means Satya and the word Anitya really means Mithya. So, when we say Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka, what we mean is the conviction that Brahman is the only reality, Brahmameva Satyam, and everything that we perceive, starting from the mind, the body, the ego, the notion of the identity with all these things, the mamakara, all those things that we consider to be us, this world, everything else, starting from the ego and ending with the largest galaxy at the farthest end of the universe, this entirety of creation is mithya. And the reason why we say that is we had spoken in the previous verse, verse number 19, how Viveka leads to Vairagya. So that is, discrimination leads to dispassion. And what Jagadguru Mahaswami had said was that for Viveka to lead to Vairagya, the nature of Viveka must be that we should have the conviction that Brahman alone is real and everything else that constitutes this world is mithya, that is, it is not Satyam. And the reason for that is only such a Viveka can lead to Drida Vairagyam, a very firm dispassion. Because who will chase after unreal things? Only if we have conviction that this world is unreal will we drop the attachment to it. And that is the crucial role that Viveka plays, that it fructifies into Vairagyam or dispassion. We don't chase the worldly pursuits anymore because we know that the worldly pursuits are mithya. There is nothing to be gained by chasing them, by desiring them, by sacrificing our entire life towards chasing a mirage. And that is what is being talked about in the next verse. Let us read that. Tadvairagyam jugupsaya darshanashravanadibihi dehadi brahma paryante hyanatye bhogyavastuni. Adi Shankara Bhagavatpada defines Vairagya in this verse, and he says Vairagya is Jugupsa. Jugupsa literally means aversion, but in this context, what it means is indifference. That is, one is indifferent to what anitye bhogya vastuni, to the unreal, finite objects of enjoyment. Bhogya means that which is experienced. Vastu means objects. Objects of experience which are ultimately finite and, as previously said, mithya, unreal, one develops an indifference towards those things. One is not required to hate those things, but in Shastra, sometimes the words like Jugupsa, etc., have been used as a remedy for the strong attachment that we have. Even Jagadguru Mahaswamigal will talk about this as Kakavishta, that is, as the droppings of a crow, we should treat these things. How one will, how is one is immediately disgusted by the dropping of a crow? Like that, he's saying you should be disgusted by the objects of the world. What it actually means is it is it's a strong word that is used so that one develops to overcome the strong attachment that one has in the present. Therefore, what is said here is one develops a jugupsa, an aversion, an indifference towards the objects of enjoyment, which are ultimately finite. And what are these objects of experience? He says, Dehadi Brahma Paryante. It is the this physical body that one has, which one is so attached to, the pleasure and pain of this body that one thinks is our own pleasure and pain. You, Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada is saying that one should develop an indifference towards this physical body, starting from this physical body until Brahma Paryanta. And here Brahma refers to Hiranyagarbha. So, in the Taittiriya Upanishad, we talk about the Manushya Ananda being one unit, and every higher species is said to be 100 times the Ananda of the previous one. So, you have Manushya, then you have Manushya Gandharva, Deva Gandharva, etc. etc. It keeps on going, and the highest unit of pleasure is for Hiranyagarbha. So, consciousness which is associated with Hiranyagarbha's body essentially is the creator of this entire physical universe that we see. And therefore, the enjoyment of Hiranyagarbha is the highest experiential enjoyment that is possible. And what Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada is saying is one should develop a dispassion towards not just this physical body, but to all superior forms of enjoyment also, starting from the human body right up to Hiranyagarbha. And how does one develop that? Acharya is saying darshana shravanadibihi, by observing those things that are the this physical body that we have is a matter of personal experience. So we have to observe this physical body and see whether the joys that this body brings is actually finite or infinite, whether this body is capable of achieving infinite happiness. If one wants to achieve infinite happiness with this physical body, let us admit here right now itself, that is an impossibility. One cannot attain the infinite with the finite. It is like Trishanku deciding to go to heaven with the physical body. If going to heaven itself is not possible, what to talk of moksha? So that is through darshana refers to the direct things which are a matter of direct experience, like the physical body, and shravana refers to all those things that we have heard about from the Shruti, like Swargalokam, all the superior pleasures that have been mentioned in heaven. So one has to develop a dispassion towards not just the pleasures of this world, but the pleasures of the other world as well. So that is the nature of vairagya. It is to be prepared to drop or lose these happinesses. Now, people say, I can somehow even if I don't have to attain it, then I will not miss it. But once I attain it, I want to maintain what I have. What Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada is saying is the true Vairagya is that one knows that these things are finite, these things are ultimately unreal, and what comes will eventually go as well. Therefore, one should be prepared for anything to be lost at a moment's notice and for us not to feel bad about it. It is easier said than done, but it is something that we all must cultivate. One must realize that each of these enjoyments that we are so attached to suffer from three flaws. They suffer from the flaw of dukkha mishritatvam, atriptikaratvam, bandhakatvam. These are the three flaws. So, what is dukkha mishritatvam? It means that whatever joy that is there, in that joy is inextricably linked sorrow as well. If one is striving to attain an object of joy, that striving to attain it is a cause of sorrow. It is very difficult to attain it. One gets frustrated in that attempt. One undergoes great physical, mental strain to attain it. Once one has attained it somehow, there is momentary happiness. And then the next worry starts. How do I maintain this? How do I ensure that this doesn't go away? And so, all those people who have attained great success in life are the people who are the most paranoid. Only the paranoid survive, they say. So, there is a great deal of mental anguish in being able to maintain what we have we have achieved with so much difficulty. And so, the maintenance of these objects of enjoyment itself is a great cause of sorrow. And finally, when we lose it, there is very, very great sorrow. I was so great in the past. I used to have all these things. Now I have lost everything. How much sorrow that brings. So, it is all these objects of pleasure are inextricably linked with sorrow as well. There is dukkhamashritatvam. Secondly, there is atriptikaratvam. How much ever we have, we always want to have something more. If we are given 1 rupee, we say, no, no, I want to get 10 rupees. If you're given 10 rupees, we want 100. If you have 100, it's 1000. If it's 1000, it's 10,000. If it's 10,000, I want a lakh. Lakh is not enough. Crore. Now, 100 crores. Not, we are not satisfied with what we have because that is the nature of desire. If you want, the Shastras say, satisfying desires through experience is like trying to put out a fire by adding ghee to it. How is that possible? If you add ghee to fire, what will happen? Fire will burn even higher. So, similarly, if we try to satisfy our desire by giving it what it wants, that desire will only flame further and want more. So, and that desire itself will cause further problems, is a cause of sorrow. So, it is atriptikaratvam also. And finally, and the biggest problem of it all is bandhakatvam. It binds us to that object. It essentially makes us addicted to that object. We lose our own nature in the pursuit of that object. We think that the source of peace, security, and happiness is not our own nature. It is not us. We are not independent anymore. We become dependent on that thing. And the moment one becomes dependent on something else, that is the sure short way for sorrow. Because one may not get that thing, one is so anxious to achieve it. Once one has achieved it, we come to the same problems. And if we lose it, it causes great sorrow. So it is binding us to it, and therefore we are only happy when that thing is there. And when it is not there, it's as if the great thing has gone away from us. So, by this practice of darshana and shravana, Shastras have been telling us these things. They have been telling us this. What did Nachiketas say to Yamadharmaraja? Shvobhavo martasya yadantagaitate. Sarvendriyani jarayanti tejaha. Tavaiva vahas tavanratyagite. He says, Oh Yamadharmaraja, you are talking about giving me these beautiful vehicles. You are saying that I can see the dancing of apsaras. He says, what use is it to me for these things? I know all of these are finite. So you only keep this, all these objects of pleasure. I have no requirement for it. Tavaiva vaha tavanrityagite. You keep these. I don't want it. That is the kind of vairagya we are talking about. Shastras are teaching this. So that is what we are referring to here by Shravanadibihi. Anyway, now let us go into reading the commentary by Jagadguru Mahaswamigal. He says, ऐहिक देहादि भोग्य वस्तुनः दर्शनेन आमुष्मिक दिव्य देहादि भोग्य वस्तुनः श्रवणेन आदिपदेन दृष्टजातीयस्य श्रुतजातीयस्य अनुमानेन. One must develop the vairagya or dispassion or indifferent words we must apply in the sentence, because the sentence is not complete. And he says, we must develop vairagya for what? Aihika dehadi bhogya vastunaha darshanena. Through darshana, by observing the flaws of this physical body, of all the other objects of pleasure that belong to this world, which are the matter of darshanam. And darshanam here means perception. That which are objects that are perceptible, such as this physical body and all the pleasures of this world, the objects of experience of this world, we must develop a vairagya through perceiving the flaws. Amushmika divya dehadi bhogya vastunaha shravanena. And we must develop a vairagya or dispassion or indifference towards amushmika bhogya vastunaha, towards the objects of pleasure of the next world, like Swargaloka, and going all the way to Hiranyagarbha Loka. Divya Dehadi Bhogya Vastana. So, all those divine bodies that one takes by doing great punya, one attains superior bodies also. But one must develop a vairagya not just for this world's pleasures, but the next world's pleasures also. And how does one develop a vairagya for that? One knows the existence of these worlds itself only because of Shravana, only because Shastra teaches us so. So, similarly, the same Shastra also teaches us to develop vairagya for those worlds. Through Shravana only we develop Vairagya for those worlds also. And then there is a word Adi, Darshana Shravana Adi Vihi. So Acharya is saying, what does Adi mean? Adi Padena Drishtajatiyasya Shrutajatiyasya Anumanena. And then through all the things that are objects of perception and all those things that are referred to in the Shastras, one can develop a Vairagya for that through other things, other pramanas like inference, etc. By applying logical reasoning, we can essentially develop Vairagya towards both objects of this world and the next world. How can we do that? By the threefold defect that analysis that we conducted. Every object has threefold defects. It has dukkha mishritatvam, atriptikaratvam, bandhakatvam. Therefore, one must not be attached to these things. One must be prepared to drop these things at a moment's notice. Right? So that consistent practice of that technique is the inferential reasoning that Acharya is referring to here. Continuing, अनुभूयमान शरीर प्रवृत्ति ब्राह्ममानेन शतवर्षजीवी चतुर्दश भुवनाधिपत्यावच्छेदक हिरण्यगर्भ शरीर पर्यन्तं सर्वस्मिन् भोग्यवस्तुनि अनित्ये मिथ्याभूते या जुगुप्सा कदापि ईदृश पदार्थ संबंधो मा भूदिति काकविष्ठायामिव असह्य बुद्धिः तद्वैराग्यम्. So vairagya is the aversion that one develops towards these sense pleasures like kakavishta, as if they were like the droppings of a crow. that kind of aversion that we have to develop towards these objects, Acharya is saying. And what are these objects that we are referring to? Acharya says, Anubhuyamana Sharira Pravati Brahmamanena. So one develops, or one should develop, an aversion towards the objects of sense pleasure, starting from that which is experienced right here, which is this body, to Shatavarsa Jivi Chaturdasha Bhuvanadhipatyavachedaka Hiranyagarbha Sharira Paryantam. Ranging at the other end of the spectrum is the body of Hiranyagarbha, the Chaturmukha Brahma, who is said to live for 100 years of Brahma, and each day of Brahma corresponds to several thousand Chaturyugas, and therefore, like that, he is supposed to live for 100 such years, consisting of days which are each thousands and thousands of Chaturyugas. So, that being the case, the extent of his enjoyment is the highest possible enjoyment in the experiential universe. And he is the Adhipati, or the overlord of the Chaturdasha Bhavanam, the 14 worlds, the 6 heavens, earth, and the 7 Patala Lokas, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, all those inferior lokas being 7, the earth being 8, and 6 superior lokas, Bhuloka, Bhuvaloka, Suvarloka, etc. Bhuloka being earth, and we know all that in the pranayamam we say Bhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Maha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam. Satyaloka is the Chaturmukha Brahmaloka. So one develops a sense of dispassion towards these objects. And what kind of dispassion is it? Kadapi idrisha padartha sambandho ma bhutiti. Let me not have even an iota of attachment or connection with any of these sense objects. The sense of aversion, indifference is so much like the aversion that one has towards Kakaveshtha, or the droppings of a crow. We had seen that. And now Acharya then talks about a slight grammatical point in the next sentence. Now the word Vairagya is in the Napunsaka Lingam, or the neuter gender, whereas the word Jugupsa is in the feminine gender. The verse says Tad Vairagyam Jugupsa Ya. In this sentence, the Uddeshyam or subject is Jugupsa, and the Vidheyam or predicate is Vairagya. Normally, the Uddeshyam and the Vidheyam are in the same gender, but where the Uddeshyam is in one gender and the Vidheyam is another gender, like in this case right now, the primacy of the sentence, or which gender is ultimately retained, depends on the gender of the Vidheyam, because the Vidheyam's gender is what is retained. So here, Vairagyam is the Napumsaka Linga, which is the Vidheyam, and therefore Vairagyam's gender is what is retained here. That is what is indicated by the word Tat Vairagyam. So it's not Sa Vairagyam Jugupsaya is not said, it says Tat Vairagyam Jugupsaya, because the gender of the Vidheyam is given predominance, and the pronoun used is that, in Tat, in the neuter gender, and not Sa or She. So he illustrates this using an example. He says, Shaityam hi yat sa prakritihi jalasya. Water's intrinsic nature is coldness. That is the meaning of the sentence. Here, the word Shaityam is in the neuter gender, and Prakriti is in the feminine gender. Shaityam takes the primacy here, not Prakriti, and therefore it is the word used is Yat, not Ya. Using this example, he says, Itivat Videya Pradanyat Napunsaka Nirdeshaha Tat iti. Because the primacy is for the Vidheyam, in this verse also, the Napumsaka Nirdesha is given using the word Tat. Then Acharya quotes from the Muktikopanishad. He says, Swadeha Shuchigandhena na virajyeta yafpuman vairagya karanam tasya kimmanyat upadishyatam. So this verse is saying, that individual who is not turned off by the foul smell emanating from his own body, what other vairagya is required? What other source of dispassion is necessary for an individual who is not turned off by the foul smell emanating from his own body? Which means that this body that one is like worshipping and is trying to deck and preserve, it's a source of a terrible odor. So there is no need to be attached to this body, is what is intended by this. सततं प्रवाह्यमानैः वृषभैः अश्वैः खरैर्गजैः महिषैः हा कष्टं क्षुत्क्षामैः श्रान्तैर्नो शक्यते वक्तुम्. So this is a verse from Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada's Prabodha Sudhakara, verse number 18 of the Prabodha Sudhakara. And essentially what this says is that the suffering of the animals such as bulls and Vrishabhaihi means bulls, Ashvaihi means horses, Kharaihi means mules or donkeys, Mahishaihi buffaloes, Gajaihi elephants. All of these are subject to Kshut, which Kshut and Kshama refers to the thirst and hunger, etc., that these animals suffer. And essentially, these pains are they are subject to tremendous hunger and pain. They are beasts of burden that are subject to great. They are worked to such an extent that they become extremely tired and weary. It's simply we cannot state the suffering that animals face. So Acharya wants to establish using this that it is not just the human body, but all species, the physical body of all species is subject to a great amount of suffering, and through that he wants to extend that to the Swargaloka Shariram, the body of the celestial beings as well. And for that, he talks about what kind of suffering is faced by those people. And he quotes from the various Upanishads to justify that. तद् यथा इह कर्मचितो लोकः क्षीयते एवमेव अमुत्र पुण्यचितो लोकः क्षीयते. So he says, this is from the Chandogya Upanishad, wherein it is said, just like the results of karma actions in this world are finite and are subject to being diminished over time. So experience diminishes the punya and the papa karma. So if you experience the results of punya and papa karma, then the storehouse of punya and papa that you have comes down. So just like the results of actions in this world are finite and are subject to reduction, similarly, the results obtained in the other world as a result of punya that has been obtained, even that is also going to be finite. So at the end of that, one will certainly revert back into the Manushaloka, into this world. So this is from the Chandogya Upanishad 8th chapter. And then Bhumnon Yadartham is from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and the Chandogya Upanishad. Essentially it says everything apart from Bhuma, which is Brahman, is finite, is mithya. Artham means subject to suffering. What it means is it is finite. And then from the Gita, Kshine Punye Martilokam Vishanti. And this again, where Bhagavan Sri Krishna is saying, once the punya that takes one to the superior Svargaloka, one will certainly come back into this loka. So when that punya is exhausted, Kshine Punye Martilokam Vishanti, they will come back into this world of mortals. And then again, Abrahma Bhuvana Lokaha Punaravrittino Arjuna. So here he is saying, oh Arjuna, starting from the Brahmaloka, Hiranyagarbha sloka, until all the smallest to the small loka, starting from the greatest to the smallest, every single world is finite. So there is no benefit to you from desiring those things, from you having an attachment to those things. So develop Vairagya. So many Shruti, Smriti, Purana quotations have been made here to establish that the objects of sense pleasure are finite. One must not get caught up with that. Continuing, Suta Samhitayam Yajna Vaibhava Khande Saptadashodhyayah All of these are quoted in the 17th chapter of the Suta Samhita called Yajna Vaibhava Khanda. All these various Upanishad quotes, etc., are coming from that. So they have all been collected and kept there. Next, he says, Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Sara Sangrahasthaha Kukshau Swamatur Mula Mutra Madhye Ityadina Punyakshaye Punyakrito Navastaihi Nipatyamanan Shatili Kritangan Nakshatra Rupeda Divashchutam Stan Vicharya Kova Viranti Nayati यत्रास्ति लोके गतितारतम्यम इत्यन्ताश्च श्लोकाः वैराग्य विषये अनुसन्धेयाः. The verses in the Sarvas Vedanta Siddhanta Sara Sangraha, starting from in the womb of the mother, in the middle of urine and feces, etc., that is the verse how it starts to essentially develop a vairagya towards birth, and then going on until continuing until the verse which says, who will not get vairagya, thinking of those people who have attained heaven with their punya, and when their punya is exhausted they fall down in the form of stars with their limbs shattered. And then the verse which says, in the world where there is so much of taratamyam, or when there is so much of disparity. So Acharya is saying that one must constantly ponder over these verses, anusandeyaha, because they are all vairagya param, they are all instilling vairagya in the hearer. With that, we will bring today's session to a conclusion, and we will take up the continuation of the commentary to this verse in the next session. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.